Hey guys, Jacob Eats Good here. Today I'm going to make some Avgolemono soup. So Avgolemono soup is a Greek chicken lemon rice soup that I first had at a restaurant right by my house growing up called the Greek Sombrero. We went there all the time and I got this every time I went there. It's become one of my favorite soups and something I really like to make on a nice cold winter day.
Let's first point out that I've been pronouncing this wrong my whole life, and it's actually Avgolemono soup. So I'm going to be making this whole soup from scratch. This is going to start by roughly chopping up some veggies. Don't be too precise on this. This is just to encourage some browning when you saute these in the pan. Traditionally, this would start with onions, carrots, and celery. This is known as a mirepoix, which is the base for flavor in lots of soups and sauces. I'm just not really the biggest fan of celery, and I don't really miss it when it's not there, so I omit it in this case. Along with your almost mirepoix, grab some garlic, herbs, and your biggest, heaviest pot to make this in. Put that pot over medium-high heat, add a little bit of neutral oil, and dump in your mirepoix. Add a little bit of salt at this point to start to build some layers of seasoning. Make sure you cook these veggies long enough so that they start to brown and build some nice caramelized flavor. Once you get to this point, deglaze the pan with a little bit of water. This is going to get all those tasty brown bits up into the soup. Now, add some garlic, one whole chicken, and some fresh herbs. Right now I'm using some oregano and rosemary from the garden, but whatever you have on hand will surely work here. Add enough water to the pot so that it just covers the chicken. Turn it to high and bring it to a boil. If possible for you, I really feel that you should be using organic chicken here, and always really. It tastes so much better, and chicken's cheap as it is. Let's just spend a few dollars more and get the best stuff you can. Now that we're boiling, drop your heat all the way to low and cover for 1 hour. We're now going to make the most important part of the soup, the Avgolemono sauce. It is simply a few eggs and some fresh lemon juice whisked together. This mixture can be tempered into any hot broth and will provide great thickening power and a nice lemony flavor. Just make sure these ingredients are thoroughly combined and set this aside for later. After your chicken's been simmering for roughly 1 hour, take it off the heat and remove the chicken from the pot. This chicken is now fully cooked and super fall apart tender. Remove it from the pot and set it aside. Letting the chicken rest on the plate for 20 minutes to cool down will help to not have your fingerprints burned off Men in Black style when pulling it apart later. You're also going to want to strain out all of the veggies at this point, as they've given all that they can to the broth already. Return your pan to medium-high heat and let reduce uncovered for 20 to 30 minutes. While your broth is reducing and once your chicken has cooled down, take the chicken and remove all the meat from the bones. When making a full pot of soup like this using a whole chicken, I find that I get at least 8 servings out of it, leaving me with a ton of awesome leftovers. Make sure you save that big chunk of skin for any pups hanging around. Now that we've got this chicken all pulled, I'd like to talk about a way you could save an hour and a half and make this. Just go to the store and pick up these 2 ingredients, add the broth to the pot, pull the chicken, and start right about here. I've had this homemade broth reducing for 20 to 30 minutes, and I've lost about 30% volume. This is why I didn't add too much salt at the beginning, as to avoid to make it too salty. A trick I learned from the internet is to, at this point, add a nice spoonful of liquid chicken bouillon from the grocery store. This will add a nice bit of saltiness and boost your chicken flavor. Taste your broth again, and if it needs a little bit more salt like mine did, now is the right time to add it. We've reached the finishing stages of this soup, so what I want you to do is start a timer for 15 minutes and add a couple cups of long grain rice into the broth. Give the pot a nice stir to avoid any of the rice clumping and sticking together. During the first 5 minutes of the rice cooking, what you're going to need to do is temper the Avgolemono sauce. This comprises of slowly adding the hot broth into the egg mixture to bring it up to temperature. Just 3 or 4 ladlefuls of hot broth should be plenty to bring this mixture up to temperature. This step will keep the eggs from scrambling and making egg drop soup when added into the pot, but instead making a nice creamy Avgolemono. After the rice is cooked for about 5 minutes, you're going to want to add in the Avgolemono sauce to the soup, stirring constantly. 5 more minutes now until you add the chicken. After the lemon egg mixture has been added, you'll notice the soup has turned a nice luxurious color and consistency. For the final 5 minutes of cooking time, we're going to add the pulled chicken back into the soup just to reheat it. The soup is ready to serve once the chicken is heated through and the consistency has started to thicken. This thickening is coming from that sauce as well as the starches from the rice. Be mindful that as the soup cools down, it will continue to thicken. If at the point of serving the soup has become too thick, go ahead and add a little bit of water to thin it out. My favorite way to serve this is to ladle up a nice hearty bowl and top it with some either fresh or dried oregano, followed by a real healthy grind of black pepper. I'd like to thank all of you who've been watching my videos and continue to watch. Please subscribe for more and comment with any ideas you have. Thanks guys, cheers!